call the meeting to order and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, our first item tonight is questions or comments from the public. Anybody have any questions, comments? All right, if there's none, the next item would be approval of the list of checks. Bill, do you have some comments or a report on that?
Yeah, just a couple highlights on our checklist that we normally don't see on a monthly basis, and there's three of them. One is the Huff Associates for $15,000. As you know, Huff Associates is our recycling coordinator, and they keep track of all the tonnage recycled in Horsham for the state grants. That's a payment that we make once a year to them. That $15,000, and they also do our grant with the state, and it brings in over $100,000 for the work that they do. The second one is our second payment for the office, the Horsham, Pennsylvania Lifestyle Campus pedestrian lamps for $94,000 to Carr and Duff. So that project's going quite well. All the lamps are in on Prudential Road, Whitmer Road, and Gibraltar Road. They should be starting Drescher Road tomorrow. So that's almost complete. And then the last thing just to point out on our checklist are two property settlements for right-of-way acquisition at Horsham and Limekill Pike in the amount of $450,000. So those are three payments that are on your checklist for this meeting that you normally don't see. I just wanted to bring them out to your attention.
All right, thank you. Anybody have any questions on that? If not, do we have a motion to pay the bills?
I move to approve the list of checks in off funds in the amount of $699,050.32, and further move to authorize payment of the same.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next item would be to render a decision on the Payon Brothers Horsham LLC, 726 Norristown Road, conditional use application, 24-02-CU. Mary?
Yes, at the last hearing, you held a hearing on an application for conditional use to put a sewer line and some recreational trails through the riparian corridor. After that hearing, we drafted an adjudication, which is before you tonight. The substance of the adjudication is to grant the relief requested, subject to 5 conditions. One is that the applicant will comply with the comments of the engineer in its March 4th letter, with the landscape review in the February 9th and March 3rd letters. Provide a fully executed water and sewer service agreement with the Horsham Water and Sewer Authority, and comply with all their township codes and ordinances, and then finally shall construct and install the trail and utility crossings in accordance with the testimony presented at the hearing. If that's acceptable to you, you could make a motion to adopt the adjudication as drafted. If it's not, we have time to make changes.
All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that? If not, do we have a motion?
Mr. Whiteside?
Yeah.
Your mic's not working. I think it's not centered.
It's not working? Sure. It was working a minute ago.
I move to approve the conditional use application for the Payon Brothers Horsham LLC, 726 Norristown Road, 24-02-CU.
Second.
But we have to add conditions, right?
No, no, the conditions are already written in there.
All right, I just want to make sure that we covered it. It's been moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote. Mr. DeVille.
Ms. Harmon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
I would like to abstain from this vote because I was not on council during the adoption of the ordinance amending the R3 zoning, nor was I on, okay. That's it.
And Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes 3 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention.
All right. Then the next item is to consider the following subdivision and land development plan. Payon Brothers Horsham LLC, 726 Norristown Road, 23-10-D for final approval. Mary?
We do have you reviewed this at the last meeting as well. You granted preliminary approval of this subdivision land development in December. The approval, the final plan approval is in accordance with the preliminary plan approval. There is a proposed resolution in your packets for your consideration. We also prepared agreements to accept conditions, as we always do in subdivisions and land developments. We have it back. It is signed by everybody except the Gowdens. Gowders. And Kristen expects to have those signatures by the end of the week, so probably appropriate to make a motion, if you're going to make a motion to approve, to make a motion to approve, subject to receipt of those signatures.
All right. Any questions or comments on that? Then do we have a motion?
I move to adopt the resolution as proposed, granting final approval to the Payon Brothers Horsham LLC, 726 Norristown Road, Land Development Plan 23-10-D, conditioned upon receipt of the fully executed agreement to accept conditions.
Second.
Moved and seconded. It's a roll call vote. Mr. Goodale-Walker?
Ms. Harmon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Laff, how do you vote?
Similarly abstain, as I was not on council for review or approval of the preliminary land development plan.
Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes 3 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention.
All righty. Next, we have zoning hearing board applications. The first one is VV Easton Road LLC and VFV, whatever that is, LLC, 1160 Easton Road. It's HTZHB 24-05.
So this one is a commercial one. It's on a property next to Chapman Ford in our I-2 industrial district. And the applicant is proposing to retain outdoor storage of existing portable restrooms on the property located at this location on Easton Road. So basically, what they're seeking is, one, is a variance to continue to permit outdoor storage where outdoor storage is not allowed by our zoning code. And also, the portable restrooms are on parking lot. So they're taking up space on a parking lot that needs, our zoning code requires a specific amount of parking spaces. So in addition to the variance that they're seeking to for outdoor storage, they are also appealing the township's enforcement notice that they received in violation of the outdoor storage. I don't know if is anyone here from 1160 Easton Road? So no one's here.
No one's here for... We just need to get in touch with their attorney.
All right, well, we need to talk about what we want to do here. I suggest we go opposed to the application and send our solicitor to back up our zoning hearing officer.
Second.
Concur.
All right, so do we just make that statement, or do we need a
No,
motion for that?
you can make a motion for that. I think you already kind of made the motion, and she seconded, so you just have to call it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. So we're going to go opposed to that. Next one is Kinjal and Purvish Patel at 1030 Oak Ridge Drive, HTZHB 24-07. Mr. Goodale-Walker.
This is in our R1 zoning district. It's a residential application, and instead of me saying everything and then their attorney repeating everything I say, I will turn it over to Ms. Pianzio.
I'm very okay with you. Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be. Hold on a
I don't
second.
hear it. There we go.
There you go.
I'm okay with you doing the summary. But with that introduction, Mr. Patel is sitting next to me. They are new homeowners in Horsham Township with a beautiful house, and they are proposing a beautiful backyard that will be the envy of the neighborhood. There is a deck, a portion of which is covered. That's in the dark color up at the top. We have a pool area here and a pool house. They are slightly over the building coverage by 0.7% and the impervious coverage by 1.7%. So we're asking that the board remain neutral. Let us go to the zoning hearing board and plead our case without council's interference or influence or opposition, any of those things.
We have a staff recommendation.
Neutral.
Well, my opinion is Mr. Patel came appropriately attired, so we should be okay with this.
He knew.
Definitely not planned, but I'll
So is everybody good?
I
You have a comment?
I just have a question, or I don't know who it's to, actually. Would there be any potential grounds to say neutral, but also like no further building coverage to be?
Well, if they
forward?
were going to have any further building coverage, they'd have to come back for another variance, so.
Okay, so then we just oppose at that
Right,
point. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? So we good?
Yep.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
good luck.
thank you.
I'll talk to you later. Okay.
And the last one is T3408 LLC, 408 Norristown Road, which is HTZHB 24-08.
So this is, well, I'm not going to, the attorney's here, so again, I'm just going to yield to the attorney so you don't get two summaries.
Okay, thank you. Kristen Pianzio from Hamburg, Rubin, Mullen, Maxwell, and Lupin. I have next to me my client, Mr. Quigley, and Ben Barlin from Holmes Cunningham, whose office prepared the application. You may know this property. It's 408 Norristown Road. It's a mess. It's just inside the intersection. Here's the aerial map here. This is Horsham Road, this is Norristown Road, it's a couple properties in. It's zoned C2, but it ends here. C2 is,
I do all
oh,
this
wow,
work.
thanks,
I do
Bill.
all this work, so.
All right, so here it is here. The C2 line ends here. We have residential. The back of the property is right about here. It's on an angle. This portion is residential. And from here forward is C2. As you know, the shopping center is across the street. It's a difficult site. C2 allows all your normal retail, personal service shop, bank, things that don't really fit on this property. It doesn't have a good shape. It's narrow and it's deep. It has, it's too close to the intersection to have a retail use, in my opinion. There was an application years ago that was approved for an office use. They asked for relief along this buffer area here. There's a 25-foot buffer required when you're adjacent to residential property. So they got relief from that. If we could go back. Do you have those renderings? Let's go there and then to the site plan, please. So Steve would like to put his business on this property and have a contractor office. There would be office space on the first floor. There would be storage on the first floor. The second floor would be all storage. They do make cabinets. There are two garages, as you can see here along the side. This is the side property that faces the residential. This is Norristown Road here. So there would be the ability to store in the garage. A lot of the materials are sent to the homeowner's house when they're doing residential remodeling. They do make cabinets, so that would happen here. But it's the ability to revitalize this eyesore that is there on Norristown Road. Could we go to the site plan? So there is an existing nonconformity under this. In the shade underneath this design, you'll see the existing improvements already encroach in the 25-foot buffer that's along this side property line. There's a 25-foot buffer in the back as well. We think because the property drains from the rear forward that there might be some stormwater management facilities in here. If we get past zoning, we then have to go through the land development process, so we'll be back in front of the Planning Commission. We'll have plans fully engineered. We'll be back here in front of council, but our engineer feels that they're going to put some stormwater management facilities in here. It is an improvement as far as the buffer area than what exists today, but we'd like to have some space in order to handle the stormwater management. So that is the one variance, and the other one has to do with the use. We are relocating the driveway. Right now, if you can see here, it's right here. and it's very narrow, and there's a utility pole right here. So by relocating the driveway here, we can avoid moving that utility pole and have a wide enough driveway for safe ingress and egress through this area. There's plenty of room to turn around. We meet the parking requirements. As I said, we'll go through land development, deal with stormwater management, landscaping, et cetera. We have discussed with staff that we anticipate during the land development process that the township's going to want sidewalk and the improvements that you like along the street frontages, including, I think, a lamp, one of the lamps that you require?
Yes, yes, one of the lamps. Actually, since this is the dividing line between the residential and commercial,
Right
this
here.
would be the first lamp.
Great. We
And
can be the
since
first
each-
lamp
And
on
since
Norristown.
each lamp is 85 feet, it's one lamp. Because I
Okay.
think your frontage is 74, if I'm reading that right.
So, Steve, the whole intent is to beautify the property. As you can see by the renderings, it's a custom-made building. It has a covered porch on it. It even has, in the rendering, you put furniture. I don't know if that'll be the case, but the idea is to put something nice here that we can be proud of. And so with those streetscape improvements, if they were a condition of approval, they would be acceptable.
What is the issue with the use again?
It's not permitted. Contractor's office is not permitted. Only C2 uses, which are your retail, your banks, your personal service.
But well, two questions. One, it's a contractor's office, so how much traffic's going to be in and out of there? Not a lot. Because
I'll let Steve describe what not a lot is. Hang on.
because that's a pretty busy spot.
Yeah, we don't, there might be 3, maybe 4 people that actually work out of there. Other than that, no one's really coming in and out. It's more, would just be an occasional UPS driver or FedEx driver or something like that. Usually what happens is with all our remodel projects that we do, ever since COVID happened, we really don't start any projects until we order everything for our project. And now we're running into a situation where not all of our clients have storage for all these things. So like we take up spots in their garages and, we're in their house. So we're just trying to make it more convenient for them, which would be this, which is why the whole second floor would just basically be like a storage center for ourselves until as we need things coming in and out. And then occasionally, like a project manager would stop by and pick something up and just take it to the site, and that's it.
When you say office, it's like an office to house your stuff, not an office to like meet people and have people come in and out to view any planning, et cetera.
We have an office on Horsham Road.
And that's what that office on Horsham.
That's what that is. for.
Okay.
Yep.
Just the next property over, that's that strip where the chiropractor is?
Yes, Barton Insurance, and I believe.
So basically, your structure would be a new version that's similar to what's next door.
Correct.
And we purposely chose a residential style to soften it, because as you move down Norristown Road, you do have residential. It is zoned for that. So we thought having a residential style will help it blend in better with those residential structures.
When you say the chiropractor build, do you mean the one to the right?
This here.
That way, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the one on the left is a house and someone lives there.
It's a house with the landscaping business
This is
behind it.
landscaping back here.
My question was going to be on the noise from if you're making cabinets on site and there's someone living next door.
Noise would be like a nail gun and a paint sprayer. That's about it. Cabinets get made, so when we design, like our designers design all our cabinets, and that our software talks to CNC machines that are in Kentucky and out in Lancaster. So then we just get like a box of parts and we're just basically putting them together.
But does anyone live in I mean, nail guns are like with the, I just have crews in my house, like,
It's not like a
right?
factory, right?
No.
Does anyone live in that house next door?
I don't think anybody actually lives in the house next door.
But I guess potentially they.
You were working with the garage doors closed or open?
Closed.
So that's an inside
Yeah,
activity.
the work would be inside.
Everything, yeah, you wouldn't hear anything.
No work outside, no storage outside.
Yeah. Bill, is there a staff recommendation?
I do. We did have a staff meeting with them with this idea, and we came up with a list at that time of conditions that I think Steve and Kristen agreed with. But we already talked about the sidewalk and lamp. We talked to them about their design. The house, the existing, well, it's not existing anymore, but the house, and my point is, there we go. So this house and this garage no longer exist. They've been demoed. So we asked them to design something, as Kristen explained, something that is transitional, that is commercial, but starts to look like more like a home, as this is the last property before the residential zoning, and they showed you those renderings that they came up with for that. The deed restrictions, the 18 deed restrictions: no adult bookstore, no tobacco vape shop. Those restrictions that we have, because this is commercial zoned, and though Mr. Quigley owns it right now, we don't know who future owners are going to be. So we like to get these things in place so we don't have such a use so close to residential homes. That the garage doors are far away from Norristown Road, and he did design it that way in the renderings, with the garage doors in the rear, as you see back here. So this is Norristown Road out here, and then the garage doors, there's 3 of them, are in the back. That this isn't some place where the public comes, as he already explained. This is, maybe someone pops in to look at something, but this isn't like a showroom where public just comes in and walks through and shops. It isn't a place like that. You said, at our staff meeting, you said 4 to 6 employees at the most, and then no outside storage. And Mary can help me with anything that I missed, but then also Ms. Slaff, that it be enclosed and no working outside. Everything's inside and enclosed while you work. Mary, did I miss anything?
The only thing that we talked about at the staff meeting that you didn't mention is that they would be storing their business vehicles on site, but you would have nothing larger than a small box truck.
And those would be in the back of the property? Is that where the parking spaces were?
Yes.
Is the garage air conditioned?
It will be. And heated.
Hey, is everybody good with conditions? Anything else we need to do on this, Mary?
Not that I know of, Bill.
I think that covers everything.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you. Have a good night and happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
All right, next is to authorize the solicitation of a bid for the Forester Road Basin and the Whetstone Road Basin retrofit project. Dennis, do you have some information on that for us?
Yes, I do. As you know, last year, most of you visited the basin that we retrofitted on Whitmer Road, the Whitmer Road Basin. It turned out very well. This year, we're going to continue, and we're going to do 2 basins. Both are located in the Sawmill Valley and Maple Valley neighborhoods. Not quite the same size as Whitmer Road Basin. Actually, the basin on Whetstone is about half of Whitmer Road, and then the basin off of Forester is about half of the Whetstone Basin. So it looks like 2 projects, but it's really going to be a little bit less than the one we did last year. Just to kind of familiarize you again with what we did last year on Whitmer Road, I like to use the example of a water park. The water parks have the big 30-foot slide. And if you would imagine a basin back in the day, the water would go rushing down the 30-foot slide. Today, basins are retrofitted to be more absorbent of the water. It controls the water quality. It promotes basin naturalization, and also infiltration in the area that the water is being held. So now you kind of think of it as a 10-foot slide. You know how the families sit on that big 10-person tube. It goes down 10 feet. It sits in that water. It goes down another 10 feet. So it's a lot slower. And the basins are designed in the same way. So this is what Whitmer Road Basin looks like now. As you can see, we have to the left of the screen here, we have a pipe that comes out right here. There is a type of a hill, a berm in the middle, and you can see that there's different types of rocks that are here that kind of filters the water as it comes out. Again, this area traps the water, so that way it acts like a sponge. There's permeable soil that's put in place. There's shrubs, there's trees, so that way the water kind of gets absorbed and doesn't go just shooting down the outlet, which is here. We have another pipe here that kind of does the same thing. And you can see there's different rock canals, trees built within with different soils. So it really does a good job of slowing the water up and also helping with the sediment that doesn't go downstream. It kind of traps it there. So we're basically looking to do the same thing with these two basins this year. And that's a little bit of a closer look at the Whitmer Road Basin. You can see some of the rock channels there with the shrubs and trees. So hopefully we can get out the bid and get a good contractor like we had last year and get this going.
I seem to remember they had to adjust those rock channels at one point. Did that work out once they did it?
It did. I don't know if you noticed, but this past weekend with the huge rainstorm on Saturday, I noticed that somebody posted on social media on the other Horsham Township page that a picture of the basin and how well it's working. So they did. And that was good that we had those rainstorms in between while the contractor was here to give us a better idea of what we needed to do to kind of switch up the specs a little bit. So these basins could be a little bit different, but we'll also have the same time to kind of figure out what we needed to do. But the main part of the basin will basically be the same: trees, shrubs, rock channels, permeable soils.
Great. Any more questions for Dennis? If not, do we have a motion?
Move to authorize the solicitation of bids for the Forester Road Basin and Whetstone Road Basin retrofit project and further authorize advertisement of the same.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. With that in mind, the next item would be to move for adjournment.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Meeting adjourned.